It is Game 3, the Orlando Magic back playing playoff basketball at the Kia Center. We might be down 2-0, but we here at Locked On Magic are a font of positivity. Oh, don't you dare be sour. It's time to feel the power here on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is April 24th. It will be April 25th, 2024. My name is Phil Prospernick. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to talk about everything going right for the Orlando Magic. That's right. We are talking positivity. It is only a 2-0 deficit. The Magic have yet to play at home. What the Magic are doing right and what they can do about it to make sure they win Game 3 and make this a series, or at least inch this closer to being a series here on the home floor. We're going to get to that, plus a whole lot more on today's episode of Locked On Magic. But before we do that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, this great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. So here we are. The Magic are down 2-0. Must-win game. Every game's must-win. It's the playoffs. But must-win game to avoid that dreaded 3-0 hole. And certainly Orlando believes and Orlando knows they are a better team at home. They are a better team at the Kia Center. And if the Magic are going to be competitive in this series, if they are going to inch their way back, it has to start Thursday night at home at the Kia Center. The fact of the matter is this: no team in NBA history has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. No team in NBA history has ever been able to win 4 straight. Boston Celtics came close last year against the Miami Heat, but alas, the Heat were able to win Game 7 on the road to ensure their trip to the NBA Finals. So a lot is on the line. The bottom line too is this: the Magic have shrunk their margin for error. It's a big thing I talk about here a lot. The Magic have shrunk their margin of error, but, as Jamal Mosley has pointed out, as everyone who's watched the NBA points out, a series does not truly begin until the road team wins a game. And while the Magic are certainly under a lot more pressure to win now to avoid that 3-0 deficit, the Magic still have control over this series, or not control, but the Magic can still win and accomplish what they want to accomplish in this series. If they win their home games, all they got to do is win one in Cleveland. So obviously they missed 2 opportunities to do that here in these first 2 games, but they still have to take care of this job of taking care of their home court. And Cleveland's got to go on the road now and play against this tough defense on the road without that extra boost of energy from the crowd. Certainly Donovan Mitchell gives them maybe a little bit more of an advantage because he's been in this situation and he's the best player in the series, but Orlando still has every opportunity in front of them. And so I want to point out a few things about what's going right for the Orlando Magic and why you should be optimistic about Game 3. Why you should believe, like Ted Lasso says, believe that the Magic can win this series. The first place is this: Orlando finished 6th in the league with 29 home wins. They were 29-11 at the Kia Center. Notice I said 29-11. That one loss came in Mexico City, with a much better 115.5 offensive rating and a much better 107.7 defensive rating. Obviously, they were at like 112 offensive rating. This is regular season stats, mind you. 112 offensive rating in total. I think they were 110 defensive rating too. So, as you would expect, the Magic played better at home on both offense and defense. In fact, their effective field goal percentage is 55.3% at home That includes the game by the way, this includes the game in Mexico City. 55.3% effective field goal percentage at home. They finished the season right smack dab in the middle of the league at 54.1% effective field goal percentage. So Orlando does tend to shoot the ball a little bit better at home. They tend to defend a little bit better at home. They tend to offend a little bit better at home. Is that how you say it? I don't know. The Magic are a better team at home. And while Cleveland is certainly not going to be a pushover and they're going to still present a lot of the same challenges, the Magic are still capable of doing all the things they did on the road and be a whole lot better. Before we get to the shooting numbers, and we got to talk about the shooting numbers, the Magic should have every reason to be confident heading back to the center because of this. Because that same energy that drove Cleveland early in the game, that same energy that lifted Cleveland up after Orlando cut the lead to 5 in game 1, when Orlando cut the lead to 9 in game 2, that same energy that lifted Cleveland past Orlando in those critical moments is the same energy that's going to be behind Orlando in game 3. Now again, Orlando's got to execute. Orlando's got to do the job. That includes continuing to force turnovers. The Magic have been excellent at forcing turnovers in this series. I'm going to get you the numbers here in a second. The Magic have forced Cleveland into 17.3% turnover rate. Cleveland has the second highest turnover rate in the playoffs this year, behind only the Phoenix Suns. Orlando's 13th, so Orlando's got to watch their turnovers too, but Orlando's defense thrives on forcing turnovers, and that is something that, despite all their issues, they have continued to do. The Magic's defense has largely done the job. Even points in the paint. Cleveland is winning the paint. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, but they're not scoring a ton of points in the paint. The Magic have been disruptive, and Cleveland knows this too. Cleveland's going to be working to reduce their turnovers, but at home, I would expect Orlando to be even feistier defensively, to be even more aggressive defensively. And that could be a difference in this series. Obviously, the start of the game is going to be huge. I cannot speak enough about how important the start to this game is going to be. If the Magic are going to win this game, it's going to be early. Cleveland has taken control of both games 1 and 2 with great starts in the first quarter. 30-point quarters, the only 30-point quarters in this series. Orlando's needed a moment to kind of cycle through defenses to get their stuff straight. And obviously they came out shooting really poorly. This is the kind of game where Orlando can, and especially with the shots that they're getting and the shots that we hope that they will be making on a familiar floor, this is the kind of game where the Magic can take advantage and blitz the Cavs. In fact, it would not surprise me if this is a blowout. Because if Orlando plays with the energy that they played with on the road, with the extra boost that they could get from the crowd, with the potential to make shots in a place, in an arena that they're familiar with the crowd behind them and the energy that the Kia Center crowd gives them, if Orlando blitzes Cleveland, we could be in for a fun night. I'm not afraid to say that. It's not that Cleveland's going to fold. It's not that Cleveland's going to quit. It's not that Cleveland can't come back. But like Orlando trying to play from behind against that Cleveland defense, Cleveland's going to struggle playing from behind against Orlando. The first quarter of Game 3 is the most important quarter for the rest of the series. I'll say that. I will repeat that again. The first quarter of Thursday's Game 3 is the most important quarter of the entire series. Because if Orlando does its job in the first quarter, takes command, takes control, they'll be back in this series and we'll have a humongous game on Saturday on our floor once again. I'll point this out too, because we're going to get to more of what's gone right for the Magic as well here in the rest of the show, but I'll point this out too. We sat here a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago. We sat here a little bit more than a week ago despondent. The Magic had just lost the Houston Rockets. No defense in that game. Had just lost the Milwaukee Bucks. Really struggled in that game. Got beat by the Philadelphia 76ers. They were on the ropes, down 0-3 in that series, if you want to call it that. They were on the ropes. They needed a win in that game at home. An afternoon game at that. That'll be Saturday's game. But they needed a win at home to ensure their spot in the playoffs, to ensure they were in this series. And we weren't talking about the Celtics, who are playing on my TV behind me right now, and at the moment, at least losing. The Magic needed that win. And what happened? They came back to the Kia Center. The Magic crowd galvanized them They played with the intensity, they played with the joy, they played with the ferocity that we're used to. They made some shots, and we had a fun Sunday afternoon. That kind of atmosphere, that kind of energy is certainly possible and capable of happening again. All it's going to take is the simple thing, and that's the Magic taking care of the ball, an issue that we'll talk about here in a minute, and the Magic making shots. And I will explain later on in the show why we should not be so worried about the Magic shot selection. But first, we're going to update on Paolo's playoff debut, because guess what? Paolo Banchero is one of the things that has gone absolutely right this series. We'll talk about his debut coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With more than 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. Get all the latest news from around the sports world, the best of the world of sports, from the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, as well as on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Get analysis from experts who know their team best, like me with the Magic, or our friend Chris Manning and Evan Damerol with Locked On Cavs. You can see those shows of the best of the best, really, on Locked On Sports Today. It's quiet, it's analysis, it's not shouting like you get on some of those other networks. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7 with the best of the sports world. So check it out, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Obviously, one of the storylines that we're watching, and one of the things that we're watching very carefully, is Paolo Banchero's first exposure to the playoffs, and really Franz Wagner's first exposure to the playoffs, this whole team's first exposure to the playoffs. This is part of a multi-year process. I want to be really clear about that. As much as we're talking about winning this series, which we should be, the Magic are capable of winning this series, and we should judge them on winning this series, and we should be disappointed if they don't, to be perfectly honest. Games 1 and 2 were both encouraging for the defensive effort, and that the defense really does look like it's going to work in the playoffs, and disappointed that the Magic haven't been able to muster up any offense. We're going to talk more about that in our final segment of the show. But this is all a learning experience for everybody. Like I've said all year, this playoffs is about learning about what Paolo needs to work on and what the team needs to make his life easier for the next time he reaches the playoffs. But I want to say this, because I think people are kind of losing sight of this, but I want to say this. I have been utterly impressed with Paolo Banchero's showing in this postseason. I have been impressed with the work that he has put in, and how, despite all the attention he's receiving, that he has been able to make things happen and be a factor, and be a generally positive factor with all the attention he's receiving. And, I expected Paolo to struggle. A lot of players' first playoff series are really rough. But Paolo has honestly tried to do the right thing, and has tried to keep his teammates involved, and has said, I'm going to soak up attention, and I'm going to trust my teammates, or I'm going to try and trust my teammates to get the job done. I had some conversations with some people the other day, and a lot of us came to the agreement that, perhaps Jamal Mosley needs to have the same conversation Richie Adubato had with Penny Hardaway back in 1997 when the Magic returned from Miami down 0-2 and said, Penny, I just need you to carry us. And Penny went out and had the two single greatest individual playoff performances in Magic team history. scoring, I think it was 43 and 42 points in back-to-back games to force a decisive Game 5 down in Miami facing elimination. The Magic aren't quite there yet, but we might be getting to a point, and maybe we are, where Jamal Mosley needs to just tell Paolo, hey, get us 40 if he can. Make the right play, make the right pass, make the right decisions, but if the shot's there, take the shot. We believe in you. We believe in your shot making. And maybe the Magic just need Paolo to stop being so unselfish and get it done. Like I've said a million times, honestly, I think it's easier to teach a player to be selfish than to be unselfish. A selfish player it's hard to become unselfish. An unselfish player is a lot easier to convince that player to be selfish when they need to. For the playoff series, Paolo Banchero is scoring 22.5 points per game. In a series where nobody's shooting well, he's shooting 48.6% from the floor. Yes, he's only made 3 of 11 three-pointers for 27.3%. Yes, he's made only 6 of 10 free throws for 60%, averaging 5 free throw attempts per game. Jalen Suggs is getting there a little bit more. Franz Wagner getting there a little bit more, which is, strange for him. But he's got 8 total assists, including 5 in the game on Saturday. The big thing, the big detractor, the big negative is the 7.5 turnovers. He had 9 in Saturday's game 1. He had 6 in Monday's game 2. And look, some of those turnovers are he is not a great ball handler for a player who has the ball in his hands a lot. Some of that is he's been driving into traps and driving into areas of the floor that the Cavs want to trap him in and having to throw jump passes that Cleveland's been able to sit on and intercept. Some of it is that, he's trying to force passes into the interior when they're not there because the Magic just need to get something going and something at the basket. And he understands he's being double and being triple teamed and he can't always get to the basket. So all those things are true. But again, so much of this series, for better or for worse, has been about process. And there are a lot of things about the Magic's process that I like. Now, I don't like the forced passes into the interior. I don't think they're there. And honestly, those are the times when I think Paolo should be willing to say, okay, I am going to take this mid-range jumper. I need to force Cleveland to not just wall me, but come up on me and try and give me a chance to drive past someone or get to a passing lane or create space for a player to sneak into or sneak around. Paolo needs to be aggressive searching for a shot. He's averaging, 18.5 field goal attempts per game. That's fine and all. Let's get that up to 20. I'm cool with Paolo taking 20 shots. If he's 9 for 20 like he was in Monday's game, generally I think the Magic will be okay as long as he's not taking too many threes. I'd rather the 3-point attempts come down from 5.5. I'm cool with Franz taking 5 threes. I'm cool with Jalen Suggs taking 5 threes. I'm cool with Gary Harris taking 6. I'm cool with Jonathan Isaac at 5.5. I'm cool with Wendell Carter at 4. Paolo probably needs to be at about 3 per game. If he's taking 3 threes per game and they're coming off reversals, that's fine. He needs to be looking for that mid-range jumper. He needs to hit that mid-range jumper and have so much confidence in that mid-range jumper. I have confidence in it. And I think that's the way that Paolo gets to 30. Because he needs, the Magic right now, attacking this defense, just need to find a way to make Cleveland pay for the shots they're giving up. They need to be aggressive. They need to still be trying to get downhill, still be trying to get to the basket. But if Cleveland's giving up the corner 3, we'll talk about that here in a minute, the Magic got to hit that shot, and they got to take that shot. If the Cavs are giving up that little free throw line jumper, if they're backing off Paolo, waiting for him to drive all the way to the basket, use that aggression against them. 2 dribble, pull up at the free throw line. I trust Paolo to hit that shot. Take that shot. It's okay. We're in the playoffs. Mid-range jumpers aren't bad in this time of year. And Paolo has earned the right to take mid-range jumpers. That is a right he has earned as a star player. But overall, the turnovers are rough, but I think they're generally, except for 2 or 3, except for the dribbling turnovers, except for the kind of dribbling into trap turnovers, generally, I think Paolo has been trying to do the right things all series. I have been very impressed with the poise and composure that Paolo has taken on the pressure that the Cavs have put on him, the way that he has tried to figure it out and tried to keep his teammates involved. And at this point, if I were Coach Jamal Mosley, if I'm the Magic, I would say, hey, this is your show, buddy. Go for it. Reins are off. We trust your decision making. We trust your shot decision making. And if you need to reel that back, reel that back. But it's time to let Paolo go. It's time to let Paolo do it because he has been an offensive engine for this team. And for whatever an offensive engine is on this team, he has been it. So too is Mo Wagner, and I think running pick and rolls with Mo Wagner would also be extremely valuable. Mo Wagner averaging 11 points per game, only player on the team shooting better than 50% from the floor, only player on the team with a positive plus minus. He's +2 for the series total. So to that extent, to that point, the Magic are doing a lot of things right. And I think Paolo is getting a feel for what the playoffs are like. And I think next year when the Magic are back in the playoffs, he's going to be even better for what we're seeing today. Look, his debut is not Donovan Mitchell's debut. It is not Shaq's debut. It is not, I don't remember what Penny's debut was like. It's better than Dwight's debut, I'll tell you that. Paolo has taken the defensive pressure in stride. I think he's learned a lot from it, and I'm excited to see what he does at home in Game 3, because I think he is as vital as any player. His decision-making is vital. His shot-making is vital. And the Magic, I think, can still be a very dangerous team in this playoffs because of the way that Paolo Banchero is playing. Okay, we've avoided it, but I'll tell you why I am actually optimistic about the Magic shooting numbers. It is really about making shots, people. But we'll get into some of those numbers coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who is unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. And it is like how great playoff basketball is. Like it's been fun, but oh man, the stress. Having to do a podcast, having to do a video review, having to do all the different articles I want to do. I can't get to everything. And that's always been my issue is I want to do everything. I'm an A+ worker. I want to duck my head to the grindstone and try and do everything. I'm behind on everything constantly. And obviously in the playoffs, things expire very, very quickly. Even when you have 2 days between games. I just spent a travel day. That put me behind the 8 ball too. I have learned through therapy to let go of what I can't control, to just accept doing my best and doing the best I can do while still taking care of myself. And that's really one way therapy has helped me. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate this time of year, trying to do the most you can do, but still giving yourself the allowance to be okay, to take a break. Therapy can be different for everyone, and most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Moms are a gift, so give her the best this Mother's Day. Get gifts as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. Select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best of tech to self-care essentials and more, delivered right to her door in time for Mother's Day. If mom has a sweet tooth, if she's a tech enthusiast, if she's a beauty connoisseur, if she's outdoorsy, no matter what she's into, you can make her smile with a fruit or flower bouquet, makeup, tech gear, workout wear, and more. Pair flowers with gift cards so she can celebrate any way she wants. If she's a bookworm, try a bookstore gift card if those still exist. Does she love a good latte? Get a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You really can't go wrong. Get thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. Choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead for when flowers and gifts should arrive to her door with DoorDash. Shop with savings that would make her proud. With the Dash Pass membership, you'll save with a $0 delivery fee and reduced service fees on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fees, apply. Terms also apply. Get a Mother's Day gift as unique as she is with DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONNBA, 2 N's in there. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. We've all wanted to avoid it, but we have to talk about the Magic shooting. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure I said this in my conversation with Chris Manning last week. I know I've said this every time I've talked and previewing this series. This series was always going to turn on whether the Magic made shots. We all knew Cleveland was going to dare Orlando to make shots, and obviously they're 17 for 72, 77, 39, 30, 72, something like that. The Magic are shooting sub 30% from three, and Cleveland knows it, and Cleveland's packing the paint, and if we want Paolo to have that 30-point game, and I do think he will have a 30-point game at some point in this series, because he's certainly playing at that level if he can get the space to get some easy baskets. If Paolo's going to have a 30-point game, it's going to be because the Magic make some shots. It's everything starts and finishes with shot making. That's why Cleveland's been able to pull away. They made shots, and they made them in bunches, and they made enough of them to stake their lead, and Orlando's been unable to climb back into this thing. And so, the Magic have all said it, the players have all said it, the coaches have all said it, we all say it. If the Magic make shots, they had a very good chance to win both those games in Cleveland. The Magic are far, but they're not that far. And Orlando's got to force Cleveland to at least respect their shooters, if not defend them. The shots that the Magic are getting are good. And that's been the message from the Magic throughout the course of the last 2 days. In all, Orlando's 17 for 52 from three. It's not good. It's not pretty. 17 for 72. I have that written down wrong. It's not pretty for the Orlando Magic. No doubt about it. It's not pretty. But the kind of shots the Magic are getting, like what they've said throughout the course of the week is, we like the process of what we're doing. We know we are getting open shots, and we are looking to get those open looks and get those open shots. These are the shots we've been waiting for all series. These are the shots we're trying to get. And if you look at the numbers, it backs up that, the Magic are getting good looks. In game one, the Magic went 8 for 37 from three. And according to tracking data from NBA.com, Orlando went 3 for 12 when the closest defender was 4 to 6 feet away, and 5 for 23 when the closest defender was 6+ feet away. Again, these are the shots. Cleveland is okay with the Magic taking shots. They're over-rotating and over-helping. They're cool with Jonathan Isaac shooting threes. You got to make them pay, and that's what the Magic haven't been doing. While what Orlando's given up, whether it's Evan Mobley threes, whether it's Isaac Okoro threes, whether it's maybe some size on the interior against Jared Allen, Cleveland's made Orlando pay for these decisions. Orlando hasn't been able to make Cleveland pay for their decision. What Cleveland's willing to give up, Orlando's not hitting, and Cleveland is just sitting back and saying, okay, until you can make these shots, we're going to sit back and watch you brick. The Magic got to make shots. At the end of the day in game one, Orlando shot 8 for 35 on open threes. And again, that's just not good enough. Orlando has to make those shots. It was the same story in game two. When the closest defender was 6 or more feet away, Orlando was 6 for 21. When the closest defender was 4 to 6 feet away, they were 3 for 13. That means they were 9 for 34 on quote-unquote open threes. Only one of their threes, the closest defender was closer than 4 feet away when they took the shot. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the shot wasn't challenged or there wasn't a better shot. There definitely were examples of that. You can check out an article on my Patreon, a video on my Patreon that explains some of that. But the Magic are getting good looks. On top of this, the Magic are getting a lot of corner threes. This is the crazy part. For the season, Orlando averaged 8.5 corner three-pointers per game. 8.5 corner threes. Pretty, not a great number league-wide, but better than they were last year. And it's something I know I focused on a lot during the preseason, if you can remember that far. They shot 36.7% on these shots, so not a great percentage either. But again, if the Magic only get to their season averages, they're adding 3 or 4 threes to their tally, and that's enough to make up a 14-point deficit, a 10-point deficit. In games 1 and 2, the Magic are 6 for 26 on corner threes. They went 3 for 15 on corner threes in game 2 alone, and all of Jonathan Isaac's threes were corner threes. He was 1 for 7. This is the bottom line. Orlando is getting open shots. Orlando is getting the kind of shots an offense is designed to create. If Jamal Mosley and the Orlando Magic understood that they were going to get a lot of threes in this game, and again, maybe this is why they started Jonathan Isaac in the end, was because they felt Jonathan Isaac was a more reliable corner three-point shooter than Wendell Carter, and I think the numbers might back that up. Then that was a gamble, that was a bet worth making, and Jonathan Isaac just hasn't delivered. like that may be what's happening. And so I'll agree with the players on this. The Magic's process to get open shots, for Paolo to get downhill, attract three to the ball, draw Jared Allen to him, and then do a skip pass to the corner for an open three-point shooter with Jonathan Isaac, who shot 37% from three, by the way, this year. That is sound strategy, and the Magic are missing these shots. The hope has to be that now that the Magic are back home at the Kia Center, now that the Magic are in the friendly environments with the energy that the crowd gives them, that the energy that they usually get from home, the hope has to be that these shots start to fall. And even if they get to like 35 or 36%, as Cleveland proved in their wins, that's enough to change the game. That's enough to take control in a series that's all about defense, where points are coming at a premium. And at this point, expect the teams to score less than 100. The first team to 100 is going to win. Plain and simple. Or let's do the Jared Allen. First team to 85 is going to win, according to Jared Allen. The Magic have the shots. They have the defense. Now they just have to execute. And back on their home, and they have the star, to be perfectly honest. Paolo's been a star. I love what Paolo's done this series. He's made mistakes that we expected, but I think he's stepped up to the plate. And now he needs teammates to help him and elevate him as much as he's trying to elevate them. As much as he's going to elevate them, he needs them to elevate him now. The Magic have done a lot of right in this series. I know it doesn't feel like it. They've done a lot of right, and Cleveland, honestly, I think knows this too. And so if Orlando can take advantage of the things they have earned, of the things they have fought for, of the things they have generated, then we are going to be talking about a series. At least a 2-1 series. We'll see about Saturday, but at least a 2-1 series. And it's on the Magic now. It's all on the Magic. I said this earlier in the week. It's all about the Magic. Forget Cleveland. Forget what they're doing. Forget them. If the Magic want to win this series, it's all about them. Or win this game. Let's just focus on Game 3. If the Magic want to win Game 3, it's all about them. It's all about making shots. It's all about limiting turnovers. It's all about rebounding. If the Magic do those three things, they're going to win Game 3, and we're going to be talking about a 2-1 series heading to Saturday's Game 4. Plain and simple. The Magic's deficit may feel big, and the challenge maybe is challenging. It may be a bigger hill than maybe we're making it out to be. But the Magic aren't that far. They're not that far from beating this Cavs team and getting back into this series. But it starts with what they do Thursday. And it starts with the crowd giving them the energy and the confidence and the belief that they can do it. Because the Magic, guess what? Here's some Magic trivia for you. The Magic haven't won a home playoff game since 2011. I think it's time we change that. I want to thank you for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of them based on podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. You can also check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, for even more Magic content, including that video I referenced talking about the Orlando Magic shot decisions and where their shots are coming from. You can find that at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. And of course, thank you for your support. That's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. You can find that on YouTube as well as Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. That's going to do it for me today. We'll see you tomorrow after Game 3. If you're getting down to the Kia Center, have a great time at the game. Bring the noise, bring the energy. If you're not able to get inside the Kia Center, there's a watch party going on outside the Kia Center at the Magic Fan Fest. So definitely send all that energy inside. Just send all that energy. The Magic are going to need it. And we're going to make this, and we'll see if the Magic can make this a series. I think they're going to make this a series. I think the Magic are going to win on Thursday, and I think we're going to have a rollicking good time. But that's going to do it for me today. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Wright. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.